Good morning, everyone. I'm Vanessa. I'm a neuroscientist, and I'm going to talk about the ADHD diagnosis. I mean, you have heard from the previous talk that gaming and AI can be very promising tools for predicting ADHD, and we are going to tell you that we can even address more, because ADHD is also related to other mental health disorder, especially in youth. And what we have done is combine much more kind of data in order to have a whole spectrum of what are ADHD people and all of this mental health disorder, related mental health disorder. And our project is called XAI for Kids, and the idea. Oh, just a second, sorry. I just wanted to step back a little bit to tell you what are the neuromental disorder and ADHD. I'm talking about those kids that behave, think, and learn a bit differently. You know them as ADHD, but also with dyspraxic, dyslexic, or with autism spectrum. And today, they have a higher school dropout, loss of self-esteem, and it can go worse with suicide or exclusion or suicide. And today, 1 young out of 6 can be affected by such condition. And for the society, it means a huge economical burden that is about billions per year. So we really need to do something, and something now. One other problem also is among those kids, only 8% are diagnosed, because the clinic is a bit difficult, and one kid has most often more than one disorder. Also, you need like several practitioners in order to have diagnostic, and as everybody has said today, 40% of the medical staff will retire by 2030. And on our case, and on the other hand, all the approaches that are currently existing today are very expensive. So it means you have a diagnostic wandering between 2 to 4 years. So we need to do something that is non-invasive, universal, to better understand, which means better diagnose, and ultimately to address the right care to the right patient. And here is a challenge of a biomarker and how we can identify them. Today we have learned a lot about connected, like smart device. Today we have about 5 smart devices per person, and it's going to grow a lot. And there's a lot of data we can collect from that. And from all of this new data, we could take advantage of that and study the dynamics of the health and the disease in the general population. And here comes the digital epidemiology. This is what we are using. So basically, you use this medical device, you collect different kind of data, and then thanks to AI and all the computer power we can have, you can try to identify some medical information from them. And that means identifying risk factor, symptom, within the general population with less stigma and more chance to find something, since the disease is kind of rooted in this kind of deep phenotype that is linked to discrete causes. So in our case, for mental health, it means you collect different kind of data from your sensor, everyday sensor that you can find in this smart device. And layer by layer, you had more information that could link those signals that doesn't mean really things at the first time to the clinical outcomes, and in our case is ADHD. And it's working, or at least at lab scale, and especially what we call the biometric, which means how you can study the eye movement, the facial expression, on how you work, how you place your finger on the tablet. So that is shown in the scientific field to be working. But what's going on when you want to do that in real life? And this is what we're trying to apply at OKIDIA with this XAI project, is to make the child work on the tablet, and while they are working, We are recording video, audio, and sound, but also how the finger are moving on the tablet. And for those flux, what we call biometrics, we will create measures that are more objective and then can have a high clinical relevance. Oops. So today we are running the clinical trials, and we can have up to 1,000 kids. And our preliminary results from the digital and video tracking, we were able to create metrics for 4 dimensions: emotion, physical state, cognition, and behavior. Basically, what we want to produce is like the blood test report when you go to your physician. You create metrics that have a clinical significance that will support the practitioner in the diagnosis decision making. We don't want to predict the disease, we want to create those metrics that will help the practitioner. So beyond the lab, what we want to do is decoding the brain, which means have validated scientifically and clinically biomarkers that involves the citizen science, to see the individuals like a network of symptoms that can be in healthy state or in a pathologic state. And that will help preventing and monitoring the risk factor before the appearance of a disorder. In conclusion, what we say is digital epidemiology is great. It can help us determine risk factors of health status. We need to involve the citizen, in our case, the teenager and children, in order to have this kind of data and make that real. And collectively, we can improve either the basic and clinical science through the identification of such biomarker. What I want to just address a little bit is that kind of science is great, but the ethic and the human have to be in the middle of these processes and all of these approaches. And what we do at OKIDIA is really to focus on the diagnosis, because we think this is the first therapy in mental health, especially for young people. And if you have any question, I'm here to answer it. Yes?
Do you plan to correlate the digital markers with genetic information or other information or metabolic information?
Up to now, no. I mean, there is like more than 20 years of what we call science of hormones that, at least in mental health, have been shown, not shown any really biomarkers that can be applied in the real life of a clinical setting. But yes, maybe later on we can link that with genomic, proteomics, whatever omics you can have as the data.
And did you build a control cohort to see the differences for the digital evidences?
Actually, our cohort is what we call an open cohort. So basically, any kids that has age 7 to 12, diagnosed or not. So like that, we can compare that, yeah.